Hello, class. It's Miss Roberts here, and today we're going to explore how to speak with confidence. Like I mentioned in the previous video, sometimes students are a little bit nervous when taking public speaking courses, but rest assured that I'm here to help and support you in gaining public speaking skills. If you see something moving back there, that's my cat, Katrina, so she's here to support you too. So let's go ahead and begin. Go ahead and this up. Excuse me. Now, how to speak with confidence. Now, as a public speaking instructor, this topic is a little bit meta for me. When I first began my journey as a teacher, I started out at Cal State San Bernardino, getting my master's in communication studies with an emphasis in integrated marketing communication. And at the time, I wanted to do advertising and PR, but I also wanted to learn how to teach. Now, back then, I didn't know I was going to make it my full-time career, but here I am. I love what I do. But I remember thinking that, okay, which class am I going to teach? Am I going to teach Intro to Communication? Am I going to teach something else? No, I taught public speaking, and I was terrible at public speaking at the time. But I had to suck it up and learn how to not only teach public speaking, but improve my skills as a public speaking instructor as well. Now, today, I'm much more comfortable public speaking because that's what I do for a living. So I have to speak in public no matter what job I have, what class I teach. However, one of the things that I like about my experience in grad school is that teaching students about public speaking and being in charge of not only content but encouraging students to go through their public speaking journey was a really motivating and great experience for me as well. So I'm really glad to have that experience, and it led me to teaching you today. So let's talk about public speaking with confidence. And I also want you to think about when you're done with this class, where do you want to take your newfound skills? Okay? All right. So what is speech anxiety? Now, we've heard that word before as far as life stressors or just being nervous about going on a job interview or a first date. But what is anxiety in regards to public speaking? Now, there's a term called glossophobia, which is the fear of the tongue. And sometimes when we have to speak in public, we might feel like, oh my goodness, this is nerve-wracking. All these eyes are on me. And there are some other reasons why we might have the fear of the tongue. Sometimes we might think that if we fall short of perfection, if our speech wasn't perfect or wasn't as good as the previous person, then we must be terrible. Then you want to make sure to not think that way. This is your experience, and we want to hear what you have to communicate to us as an audience. Also, there is an overgeneralization that one assignment will equal a total failing score in the class. So you want to make sure that, hey, you're keeping on top of your assignments, of course, and completing your assignments. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. But putting forth the best effort will get you far, especially as far as points are concerned. So don't overgeneralize. As long as you're not skipping assignments, then that one single assignment shouldn't have your grade fall apart. And we have this negative fortune telling that we're going to be like, oh, we're going to do bad because we've always done bad. In the story I just told you, I wasn't the best public speaker. I did okay, but it wasn't something I wasn't something I was confident in until I had to teach public speaking. I had to learn. So instead of thinking that, oh no, and imagining yourself doing bad, imagine yourself doing good and put forth an effort such as organizing your speech, practicing delivery, and getting that confidence in the public speaking space. So let's explore what else contributes to public speaking anxiety. we might think that, hey, I might not be the best at public speaking, but we have to change that languages to, I might not be the best at public speaking yet. Or I have this set of skills that helps me in public speaking, but some habits that might hinder my public speaking. And we're going to keep the good habits and work on the traits and habits that might not work in my favor. With the latter mindset, you're able to be more flexible or have that growth mindset, if you will. Fear of humiliation and failure. In my in-person classes, I always joke that, hey, in the materials, I don't have tomatoes in the back of in our hands and our backs, ready to throw at anybody who doesn't do well on their speeches. That's not what this class is about. So just make sure that just make sure that you're not letting the fear of failure cause you to fail by not doing your assignment or to not do your position or job or say the speech that you're going to say. So just make sure to, get out of yourself a little bit and try to combat that fear of humiliation because no one is going to be like, boo. No. And as your instructor, my job is to encourage you. Now, if there's some traits that need to be worked on as your instructor, it is my job to give you that feedback, but also will give you the feedback of the things that you did well. Concern about preparation, performance, and personal insecurity. Now, the former, you can't control preparation. You can prepare or even over prepare, right? So make sure that you know your information fronts and backwards and use those note cards wisely. And then in your performance, you will have that confidence because you know that you have your note cards front of you, just in case you need those cues. And also, you are able to combat your personal insecurity by picturing yourself doing well. Okay. And make sure to think of it as an art instead of a science. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present in your presentation. Now let's break down the biology of anxiety. So let's talk about what happens physically and mentally during times of anxiety. So sometimes you might be more prone to anxiety than others. That's okay. It might be a little bit more of a hurdle, but that doesn't mean it's insurmountable. So we might go into a fight or flight mode. It might increase our breathing and have our adrenaline. We might feel butterflies in our stomachs, but we can combat this by taking deep breaths, maybe having a sip of water before you get started, and speaking slowly. And as long as you keep speaking, that initial butterflies, that initial physical signs of anxiety tends to dissipate as you go on. So again, you might be more nervous right before a speech and least nervous when prepping, but keep talking. I always joke in my class that as an instructor, if I get nervous, if I stumble on a word, I can't just be like, oh, well, stop the lecture. Bye. No, I can't. I have to keep talking. You might have to take a moment to collect yourself, and that's okay too. But keep talking. So here are some ways for you to gain your confidence. Know your audience. What do they want? What can they gain from your speech? Now, in this class, of course, our audience is students, and for the persuasive and informative speech, you may have additional audience members as well. But know your audience. Don't procrastinate because that poor speech performance can be attributed to not knowing the material or not being confident in the material. So you want to make sure to know that material first, and you will gain that confidence later on. Select a topic that you are familiar with or passionate about. We're able to connect better with the topic and convey that enthusiasm in our delivery. You want to prepare research and practice. Use the outline, so you'll be provided with outlines for your presentation. Be organized, be prepared, know your introduction and conclusion. When we say don't memorize, there's a fine line between memorization and preparation. So you don't want to get bogged down on word for word delivery, because if you forget the word, you might get stuck. And because you're able to improvise on the spot using both impromptu and extemporaneous speaking styles, which we'll cover later in another video, you have the flexibility to not memorize, but you still want to know what you're going to talk about. So it's a fine line between being rigid in memorization and, excuse me, and saying your speech. You want to stand up, say your speech out loud, make it real, because that's how you're going to be delivering your speech. Take slow, deep breaths and channel your energy into preparation and delivery. Visualize your success. Picture yourself doing well, whether it be in an audience or on video. Make sure that you practice, give yourself a mental pep talk, positive thinking, and focus on your message, not your fear. So your job is to convey, deliver information, and honing on that skill and honing on that process will help you with anxiety and nervousness. And look for positive support. I'm here for you. So my job isn't to say, boo, you're terrible, fail, fail, fail. My job is to evaluate and be your cheerleader. Yes, you can do this. I'm here for you. So one of those positive supports, you also have tutoring that can help you out with organization and your classmates and your networks. So your social supports that you have existing. We're here for you and we want you to do well. So outside of this class, you might be presenting other classes. That's one of the questions that I asked during the speech reflections. That's the word I'm looking for. During the speech reflections, like, hey, did you use these skills somewhere else? And if not this semester, you may use this in other semesters. So think about and maybe get some other speaking opportunities. You might want to join a club to do public speaking, or you might want to give a presentation at work and volunteer for those things. It can definitely be helpful. And focus on your accomplishment, not your fear. So sometimes when we're giving a presentation, even after presentations, it's good that we evaluate some of the things that we want to do well or we want to tweak, because we are trying to progressively get better as time goes on. But you also don't want to focus on, oh, I messed up here, but focus on what you did well. Focus on, hey, I got a good score in this part. Or, hey, I'm going to continue doing this. Stay positive. All right. So the sun sign is trying to get in my face, so my apologies there. And my supportive cat decides to leave. But that's okay. I'm still here for you guys. I really appreciate you. I can't wait to hear your speeches. And thank you so much for joining me today. I'll talk to you later. Alrighty. Bye, everyone.